And whatever you really call it, you know, list building, lead capture, whatever, in Infusionsoft it's all about web forms. So we've talked about web forms a couple times. Enter your name and email, push a button, right? And the best way, though, to use a web form is to base it on the free thing. So we talked about naming tags. Naming is important all throughout the system. We'll talk about naming kind of at each stage, but if I build a web form, I'm not going to call it lead capture. I'm going to call it free ebook, because that's how I capture the lead, was through the free ebook. Otherwise, I'll have 50 forms that say lead capture, and that doesn't help anyone. So a web form typically is a lead capture, just kind of by default. It's there to capture information. Now, some web forms you're using not for new leads, but for existing people to give you more information. But again, it all starts with web forms in Infusionsoft for this. So your free thing needs a form, just one form. Sometimes what people do is they make a form for each variation or a form for each audience or whatever. You really only want one form per free thing. So let's talk about some examples of this. What if I'm driving traffic from Facebook? I build a form for Facebook. I'm driving traffic from my website. I build a form for that. That's not a good idea. You want all the traffic sources going to one form because, you know, not only is it simpler, but then down the road, that's just a better practice. So a lot of what we're talking about is best practices. Yeah, you can do it the other way, but best practice is one form per free thing so that you don't have a bunch of clutter. And then on that form, you can actually track the rest of the information that you needed, whether they came from Facebook or your website. There's a way to do that. We'll talk about that. But you can also take that one form and use it in several places. So we're talking about one form for multiple lead sources. It's also the case that if I have a form and I'm giving away, let's just use the example of an ebook, I can put that form on its own page, a squeeze page we'll call it. I can also put that form at the top of my blog. I can also put that form on someone else's site. So I have that one form and I can put the form in a bunch of different places, so I'm capturing leads from everywhere. And, you know, it's pretty simple stuff, but at the end of the day, it matters a lot in tracking. It matters a lot in just keeping things clean. If you have too many forms, then when you say, oh, well, I'm no longer giving away an ebook, it's this thing, I have to go update 50 forms instead of one. That's kind of the baseline idea, is why you want one, and to just make it a little bit more dynamic.